Okay. Hello and welcome back, Gamers Need Christ. We're going way back to Genesis. And no, I'm not talking about one woman, one man, or anything like that. I have a question. I'm not trying to reinterpret the word. I'm not trying to change the word. I'm not trying to do any of that sort. I'm not trying to add to something that's not here. Because I've had this idea for quite a while. And it's kind of a question. And people have been trying to say science and the Bible don't mix. And then you have the apologists who are like, no, the Bible does give us answers in science about science and how things kind of are, maybe were, all throughout the Bible. It's fascinating. So and if you have some insight to help knock this down or say, no, I don't think so. No, you've got this wrong. That's fine. I'm all for it. Okay. Now we're in the creation of the world. I'm in Genesis chapter 1. And God creates light, and there was light, and it was good. And he separated the light from the darkness. He's separating things. And then in verse 6, then God said, let there be an expanse in the midst of the waters. The waters? Because if you go back to verse 2, maybe we should have just started reading the Bible outright. And the earth was formless and void, and darkness was over the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of God was moving over the surface of the waters. Let's go back to verse 1. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. I'm reading my 1977-78 NASB. And again, we lose a lot of the original context in reading this in translated English. No matter which English version you're reading. So then verse 6, God said, so there was a formless void. The Spirit of God, like a dove, I guess, moving over the surface of the waters. And here it doesn't exactly say when he created the waters, what waters. It was formless and void. Water is without form if it's not contained. That's some science right there. Astronauts can tell us what liquid does as they're floating in space, and looking at liquids floating in space, formless. And then God created light, and there was light, and he separated the light from the darkness, and now he's separating the waters. And he created an expanse in the midst of the waters, and let it separate the waters from the waters. Do what? Yeah. Okay. And God made the expanse and separated the waters which were below expanse from the waters which were above the expanse. And it was so. And God called the expanse heaven. This is confusing. I'll get to it here in a minute. And there was evening and there was morning a second day. So it took him a whole day to separate the waters. On the third day, the waters would recede and we would have the continents, or the continent, or the land. And not many people believe a lot of this. They think it's symbolic and etc. etc. I don't think so. Because we're again, hopefully, I don't want to go 20 minutes with this, but and so now it's the third day. And God said, let the waters below the heavens be gathered into one place, and let the dry land appear. And it was so. God called the dry land earth, and the gathering of the waters he called seas. So now we have our oceans and seas. And God saw that it was good. Okay. I don't know Hebrew. I'm learning bit by bit, and I just need to take some time and listen and write, and I just don't have that kind of time, being full-time employee, a full-time father, even though sometimes they may think I'm just sitting here most of the time, and I'm not. I just got finished with laundry. My wife just took my son to a math tutor. Expanse. God called the expanse heaven. I have a question about that. I'm not questioning God. I'm not questioning the word. But a lot of people, and as I looked up the word, I'm gonna butcher this. Helequia. I think that's it. It looks like it starts with an H, and it's Haraqua, but the R's are all L's. Sound familiar? Sounds a little Asian. Rah, 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 rah. You're going to shoot your eye out. And they try to say that just means skyline. It just means the sky. It just means the sky. It's just the heavens. We sometimes call this, we look up, we call it the heavens because it's above us. So, if God made the expanse, the firmament, as the Hebrew Bible actually says, or is translated, separated the waters from the waters which were below the expanse from the waters that were above the expanse. Now, if God is calling the expanse heaven, why do we have water above heaven? God called the expanse heaven, and there was evening, and there was morning, and he was tired. It was his second day. Second day full of work. Wow, this science is tough. But I can't rest yet. And neither can we. And in looking some of these words, these Hebraic, these lexicon up a little bit, and define this, define that, and trying to write this in its English form. There's a word for that if you're going from Japanese to English, and I can't. It's just escaped me at the moment. But Reverso, I think, is the website that I was kind of using here, and it was helping me out some, as well as Bible Hub, and maybe another website as well. So I want to give those references here to let you know, what I'm dealing with, what I'm looking at, as well as because Bible Hub allowed me to look at the direct translation and the word and the wording of this, which is where we get our Yiddish from. In the Amish and Quakers, I think, still talk like that. They have it kind of that Yiddish speak, which is also very Germanic, because I had 2 years of German in high school, and they will, the verbiage here escapes me. I wasn't planning on talking about this, where sometimes you put the subject at the end, kind of like how Yoda speaks in Star Wars, okay? Kind of, a little backwards, but you know what they're talking about. Um, so, again, water's below the heavens, water below the firmament, and I'm looking at verse 9. What does your version of verse 9 say? In one place, and let the dry land appear. But actually, I'm sorry, I really should be looking at verse 7. God made the expanse, separated the waters, which were below expanse, from the waters which were above the expanse. Now, again, the Hebrew word here literally means firmament, and they refer to that word as simply the sky or the skyline or heavens or to the sky in some cases. With the Helequia, I'm butchering that, I'm sure, which I'm thinking, okay, we have a lot of rings. We have what? Rings around Saturn. We have a ring around Jupiter, right? And my question is the expanse they're talking about here, could we have had a ring around Earth before the flood? Let's keep reading. God called the dry land earth. Then God said, let the earth sprout vegetation, plants yielding seed, fruit, and trees bearing their kind. And it was so. The earth brought forth vegetation. There was evening and morning the third day. And God was like, wow, plants. It smells good now. The earth is smelling really. I've separated the waters above and below the expanse, whatever that might be. Could it just be clouds? Could there be clouds above the expanse? But then why would we have clouds above the heaven? Above heaven. If the heaven is just the sky and the planet is completely covered in clouds, all your sky is going to be is nothing but clouds. This doesn't make sense. So this is why I'm suggesting a possible ring around the earth. A frozen ring of water. Let there be light in the expanse of the heavens to separate day from night. So this is when he created the sun. Let there be lights. Well, not the sun. Excuse me. That was day 1, day 2. So that sounds like the stars. Let there be lights in the expanse of the heavens to separate the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years. The stars, okay? And let them be for lights in the expanse of the heavens to give light on earth. And it was so. So, that basically sounds like the stars. But again, if we go back to verse 8, and God called the expanse heaven, and then go back to verse 15, to be lights in the expanse of the heavens. So it's in the heavens of the heavens? Of the sky in the sky? To give light to the earth? And it was so. God made 2 great lights, the greater light to govern the day. So now he's creating the sun. So first the stars came first. Well, excuse me. The formless void became the earth, which became the waters, or one of the formless waters, which turned into the earth. He used the expanse to separate water from water. And then what would be the earth kind of drained the water, so to speak, so the land would appear. He grew the vegetation. He's made the stars. He made the sun to govern the day and night, and to separate the light from the darkness. And God saw that it was good. And there was evening, there was morning, and a 4th day. And God said, let the waters teem with swarms of living creatures, birds flying. God created the great sea monsters Sea monsters? Dinosaurs? Whales? Megalodon? I don't know. Sea monsters for sure. I'm not sure what I didn't really go look into that. We got to keep going. God blessed them. God said, let the earth bring forth living creatures. God made the beasts of the earth after their kind. Let us make man in our image, according to our likeness. God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him male and female. God blessed them, and God said to them, be fruitful and multiply. Behold, I have given you every plant yielding seed that is on the surface of all the earth, and every beast of the earth and sky, etc. Chapter 2. Thus the heavens and the earth were completed, and all their hosts. And by the seventh day, God completed his work which he had done, and he rested on the seventh day from all his work he had done. Then God blessed the seventh day and sanctified it, because in it he rested from all his work which God had created and made. And then we have the beginnings of man and woman. And then we get into, we're in chapter 2, verse 6. This is interesting. And I wish I had written this verbatim from the Hebrew Bible. But a mist used to rise from the earth and water the whole surface of the ground. Used to? Now, the Hebrew version doesn't exactly use that same verbiage here. A mist would come from the earth, water the plants and vegetation, and then come back to the ground. But that was actually before he made man. But it probably continued to water the plants, water the trees, water foliage. God took man, the Lord God commanded the man, saying, from any tree of the garden you may eat freely, but from this tree don't. Caused a deep sleep to fall upon the man. He made woman. The temptation, the judgments. We're skipping real quick. Cain and Abel. Okay, I lost that. Wait a minute. I think we're here. Because I had marked something in here, and I should have tried to pause the video, and I apologize. Because we're not seeing anything about actual rain when he sends the rain. That hadn't happened yet. A lot of things have happened. A lot of death has happened now. Cain's attitude was just the first and beginning of everything. From Adam, I said Adam, Adam is actually correct from what I understand. Adam and Eve broke the world. Oh my gosh, we're naked. And all that happened. And then along came Noah. And God saw the daughters of men were beautiful, took wives for themselves whenever they choose. Of course, that's in reference to the Nephilim. The course of the flood, make yourself an ark of gopher wood, and you shall make an ark with rooms and cover in it inside and out with pitch. And then we get to okay, I'm in verse 6. Let's look at verse 18. Now, this isn't exactly pertinent to the ring around the earth yet, that we may have had at one time. 18, but I will establish my covenant with you, and you shall enter the ark, you and your sons, and your wife and your son's wife with you. I will establish my covenant with you. So, he separated light from day. He separated the waters with the firmament, or the expanse, which made me actually start thinking about Star Trek Enterprise, from the opening song to like season 3 of that whole show. The whole show may have been more biblical than we realized, even though it was a great show. My wife and I really liked Star Trek Enterprise. Okay, get back to the Bible. I'm sorry. Anyway, and now God is now separating this family that He is favoring from the rest of the world. He's now separating the good from the bad. He separated the night from the day. There's always an opposite. And now he's making a covenant with Noah and his family. You know, I gotta flood the world. It's just terrible. We can't make these people understand what they're doing is wrong. Their behavior is wrong. They hate me. They're hating each other. They're doing things they don't need to be doing, etc., etc., etc. And we haven't even gotten to Sodom and Gomorrah yet. Interesting. And so they put all the stuff in the ark. Now let's just make one mention of the ark, which I found really interesting, which a lot of people forget. They look at the little kitty books and they're like, oh, 2x2, 2x2. Yeah and no. They forget about the clean animals, because all the animals that are going 2x2 are all the unclean animals that are unedible. The clean animals are the kosher animals, with split hooves or cleft-footed. Again, split clefts, etc. And they chew their own cud. They eat, they throw it up, they eat it again. God instructed Noah, okay, I'm sending you all these animals, but you need to also get the tamed animals, the cattle, kosher animals. Get 7 pairs of them so you can eat. And also do and sacrifice as well. Now we're in verse 7, verse 4. For after 7 more days, I will send rain on the earth. 40 days and 40 nights, and I will blot out from the face of the land every living thing I have made. He wasn't happy. And you may think, oh my gosh, this is the part where, oh, he's just such a wrathful God. Oh gosh, he's going to kill everybody. We're here, aren't we? I'm here. You're here. Because of this. If you believe this is true. And I do. Call me a nut bar. I don't care. I will send rain. Mamtir. Mamtir? Is that how it's pronounced? And there's this one word only shows up 3 times, 2 more times in the Bible. This is one of them. The Hebrew. It doesn't, and it's, will send. Oh gosh, I thought I had a note here. But it doesn't exactly mean rain. And when he uses it in one of the other 2 times is like for sending for something, but not exactly rain. But another time he does mention this after he's actually turns the spigot off, so to speak. We'll send rain. This is the first time we finally see the word rain in any reference here in Genesis, just about, since the creation of the earth. We had plenty of water. It was formless. It was floating in space. Noah did what he was doing, of clean animals and animals that are not clean, and birds and everything that creeps on the ground. They all went into the ark. By 2s, male and female, as God has commanded. And it came out at the 7 days that the water of the flood came upon the earth. Now, I meant to look up how tall the mountains of Ararat really are. But I failed to do that. Noah was 600. He was 600 years old. On the same day, all the fountains of the great deep burst open, the great deep. Hello. Under the oceans, under the continents. This very well could have been, not saying for sure, the creation of the continents as we know them and why they drift slowly. Pangea, anyone? And the floodgates of the sky were opened. The floodgates. Now, here's a word that's only used twice in the whole Bible. In the whole Bible. I'm going to butcher this one too. Wa'arabot. Only twice. And in most versions, I think even the Hebrew version maybe, call this a window. The window of the heavens erupted. The window of the heavens spilled the water upon the earth. Window of the heavens. Window of the heavens were opened. Genesis 7:11. You know, and sometimes now, I'm not Jewish. Or if I am, I don't know it. Again, the name Grillenheimer is just a joke that my grandfather said when he was still alive ages ago. But we're not talking about the opening theme song of Neon Genesis Evangelion. We are in Genesis, in the Bible, talking about the window of the heavens being open. So, and God made the expanse and separated the waters which were below the expanse from waters which were above the expanse. And it was so. But then God called the expanse heaven. And there was evening and there was morning. Yet there's water above the heavens. Now, that part of the world is pretty close to the equator. If we could have had a frozen ring around the earth, and all the creatures were on the earth, from giraffes, rhinoceroses, a cat kind, a dog kind, dinosaurs, birds, things that fly, things that, bite you, etc., mosquitoes, penguin, whatever. Where was I going with that? And the expanse is heaven. Why is there water above heaven again? Why is there water up there? Is it simply clouds? If the expanse is sky, then we have clouds above the sky. But if we have clouds in the sky, it normally is the sky. Is that what they're trying to say here? Or could we really be seeing that akin of a window? Again, what is a window in Hebrew lexicon before there's ever a window created by glass, by pressurized sand? What does glass look like? Smooth. Almost, maybe it's translucent, maybe it's transparent. Maybe you can't always exactly see through glass. But then a ring around the earth could have looked akin like glass going around the earth. And if you're around the close to the equator, where would that ring around the earth might have been if we had one? Could it have actually gone through and split the horizon? Excuse me, the horizon, completely split the sky, so you could actually see the heavens above it, the sky above it, and the sky below it? Could clouds completely obscure the rain where you couldn't see it? Or would you still see it shining from sunlight through thick clouds? Yet the first time we even have any reference of rain is Genesis 7:4. I will send rain on the earth. Be prepared. I will send rain. And it's going to rain for 40 days and 40 nights. Where did all this water come from? Seems like before this, even as man was being, just before man was even created, a mist was coming out of the earth and watering the plants and watering this and then coming back down. It sounds like the morning dew. But it could have been much stronger than the morning dew. It could have been akin to the morning dew, but it could have, apparently it was enough to water plants. Of course, we're only talking one day if we take the word at its literal meaning here and not symbolic. But how often could that have happened between the generation of Adam to the generation of Noah? Because there's no mention, just because it doesn't mention rain doesn't mean it didn't rain. I understand that. I completely understand that. But then he finally says, I will send rain by chapter 7. And at this point, he is ready to just like a son, just like a father who is disappointed with his teenage kids who are doing everything they don't want him, that the dad does not want them to do. They're going to do it anyway. You tell them to do something, they're going to do just the opposite. You respect me, you better call me, sir. Why aren't you using your manners? Over and over and over. You ever been there and done that? I have. I am now a witness. That's a lot of water for it to continuously rain for 40 days and 40 nights. And it makes a little more sense if we had a frozen ring of water around the earth. That God, Yahweh, melted and rained and it rained and it rained the entire earth, creating all the ancient flood stories from all over the world. Didn't mean to go over 30 minutes. But I still think this may not make a whole lot of sense, but to me it makes a type of sense. Because I have questions. And I know a lot of people, whether you're a believer or not, have questions. And it's fine, perfectly fine to have questions and ask questions. But this almost makes sense. It makes sense of where the water came from. That how, I'm trying not to say the C word, or YouTube's going to slap a thing on here, but climate. The climate was different back then, before the flood. It's obvious. It sounds it. Especially if we had dinosaurs living with, I won't say with people. I mean, we have cats. And the cats don't always want to attack you. When they're feisty, they might. If you rub them the wrong way, if you do something they don't want you to do, they're going to let you know. Same with the dog. Yeah, those are trainable animals. But have you ever just simply sat and watched lizards and watched the chameleon lizards, etc.? Trying to not mention Michael Crichton in his Jurassic Park books, which are really good. I've read them both multiple times. where he writes their behavior, they actually look like stop motion gone super speed because they're large animals that are just acting like lizards. Of course, he throws in the evolution timeline with Alan Grant and those characters and whatnot, about, possibly evolving from birds and etc. I don't think so. I'm not saying it's true or not true, but I just don't think so. And the more creationist scientists are finding certain things in the fossil records does not make sense of what they're teaching us. Okay? And if you have questions, you're not going to keep watching the same channel over and over and over and over and over again. If you have questions, you might want to start checking what other people might be saying. Make your own opinion. That's critical thinking. And we're losing that. We're losing that a lot. And I'm not really truly critically thinking here. Maybe so. But it just makes a lot more sense where all this water came from. God made the earth. And it was a ball of water. But there was land, and he had the water recede so we would have something to walk on. Because who knows? He's the Lord our God. He knows, and he is planning everything from the very beginning. Oh, well, if I'm going to make man in my image, he needs something to walk on. He can't just live in water. Of course, that goes against what other people say. So I need to, have this formless blob in space. Let's do this. Let's do this. Now he has somewhere to walk. We have found, what have we found? Ancient ruins under the oceans in some areas. How did we have civilizations get covered with water? How long were these ruins down here, etc., etc.? I wonder why. Possibly a worldwide flood? Where did all the water come from? Well, it came out from under the depths of the oceans, from the crevices from down below, as well as a possible frozen ring of ice melting and constantly raining and pouring upon the earth for 40 days and 40 nights. Flooding everything, flooding civilizations that will never be again. This makes sense. Or you can think this is just myth. Doesn't mean a hill of beans. I beg to differ. That's just me, and that's my opinion. You don't have to believe me. Just believe the word of the God. Word of the Lord. I was trying to say word of the Lord and word of God at the same time, and it came out funny. I got to go to the grocery store. We'll see you next time. Tell me what you think. Does this make a little more sense? Is the expanse just the sky? Did we have? Why did we? And in some Bibles, actually mention a canopy of water above in the heavens. A canopy. A canopy? How does a canopy of water hover over the earth? A ring can circle a planet. We have a few in our solar system right now. That's scientific. That makes sense. Who knows? Maybe that's where what the asteroid also hit before it hit maybe the Yucatan or something. It caused the flood. Thanks to God. Just an idea. I'm not trying to step on toes here. Not any metaphorical or theological toes. Just a what if. And Where's the Yucatan Peninsula? Very close to the equator. And if we could have had a frozen ring of water going around the Earth, depending on where you are on the Earth, what it could have looked like. If it was truly frozen, if it was truly splitting the heavens, and the sun hits it at just the right angle, it could look like a window. It could look shiny. Maybe they couldn't exactly see through it, but apparently something was there. Could it have just been a canopy of water above the earth? It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. But even this Bible mentions that. Like a canopy. Like a tent. Things to think about. A frozen ring of water around the earth explains a lot to me scientifically. Tell me, what do you think? We'll see you next time. Blessed be the reading of the Lord today. And as always, praise God, from whom all blessings flow. Have a blessed day.